Hello everyone and welcome to the 500 subscriber stream. We have finally hit, we were kind of floating around the 500 subscribers for a while. We went over it briefly, I went to bed, it went under, but we are back above the 500 subscriber mark, and I just want to do a little stream to thank everyone for their support, for watching my videos, for commenting, for contradicting my opinions and allowing me to think on a lot of great TTRPG things, also the support of both the D&D and the Daggerheart content. And I just want to kind of work through some D&D stuff today, maybe write some Daggerheart, and just chat with you guys, have a grand old time, and we might give away some dice, depending on how many people we get in the chat. I have some beautiful dice. I have some nice purple jade dice, as well as some rainbow dice. Should probably take them out of the bag so it doesn't shine as much, and then some nice kind of teal sparkly glitter dice ready to give away. So first and foremost, my campaign on Tuesday nights is coming to an end, and I am very excited to be running Daggerheart this summer, and I need to wrap my head around a lot of the kind of character creation options. I think the rules are really intuitive and allow me to just kind of hop into it and run it. I mean, even the quick start adventure is very intuitive, and I've been able to run that multiple times now, and I think I'm going to run it this Saturday at Free RPG Day, which I'm really excited about. But I have a firm grasp on the rules, but I don't have great knowledge of the different characters and character options and how they interact. So I think I'm going to create some characters in Demiplane today. Just kind of go through the process of character creation with different classes, subclasses, and, you know, kind of see where it takes me. Just do some general Daggerheart learning. I also want to kind of look through a couple of D&D things and kind of firm that up for the rest of my campaign. I might start working on our finale, which is coming up at the end of July. The third week in July is our finale for our Tuesday night campaign that we run in the local game store for now 20 or so people every single week between the four tables and the four DMs, and we have a great time doing it. I would love to take any questions that anybody has on that campaign, how that runs, how we organize it, how we kind of communicate between the tables. But we're gonna hop right into Demiplane, I think. So for those who have not used Demiplane, Demiplane has the Daggerheart Nexus on it. This is going to be the official character creator for Daggerheart. I did a video kind of creating one character in Demiplane, and it was simple, it was intuitive, I really enjoyed it. I think it is comparable to D&D Beyond, if not a little bit better, because it gives you the ability to do a little bit of that flavor text and kind of those things that really make Daggerheart special. They integrate into that character creator. So let's just hop right on over to Daggerheart. Let's create some characters. So I want to do something that I have not created in Daggerheart before, and I've done Guardians, I've done Seraphs, I've done a few different classes, but let's do like how it's pronouncing. The autocorrect is putting he him as the character name. You know what, we're gonna do this one, Ballura, a character that I have done before, that my wife has used, kind of a wizard character. She loves the just magic missile spell, but let's kind of look into the magic side of Daggerheart. And I know there are grimoires and I've read them, but I really want to kind of get into what that looks like for a character. Let's pick, ooh, I like that. We're gonna go with Love that. All right, so let's just do it. We know what we're doing. We're going for wizard. And these are going to be the Codex and Splendor domains. Our hope feature is going to be not this time. We have to spend 3 hope to force an adversary within far range to reroll an attack or damage roll. We also get to do prestidigitation. You can perform harmless, subtle magical effects at will. For example, you can change an object's color, create a smell, light a candle, cause a tiny object to float, illuminate a room, or repair a small object. Fantastic, very cool. Strange patterns. Choose a number between 1 and 12. When you roll that number on a duality die, gain a hope or clear a stress. You can change this number when you take a long rest. That's very cool. That is a very like divination wizard kind of ability where you get a 1 in 12 chance of gaining a hope or clearing a stress. And if you're smart about it, you could like pick a lower number so that if you roll lower than your fear die, so you make a roll with fear, that 1, 2, or 3 on the duality die is still going to gain you a hope or clear a stress. That is very cool. All right, so for our subclasses, we have School of Knowledge. Play with the School of Knowledge if you want to keep understanding of the world around you. And then School of War. Play the School of War if you want to utilize trained magic or violence. Love it. Let me also do this. My chat is not showing up, and I want to make sure I can talk to all of you. All right, perfect. If anybody has said anything so far, sorry I missed it, but I think we have our chat back up and running. Oh, my wife said, what a handsome nerd. I love her so much. I will say this for the official record. I have made 2 great decisions in my life. The first one was deciding to marry my wife, and the second one was getting married on my birthday. All right. So let's go School of War for this. So we're going to be a wizard. Let's get our School of War. All right, we're going to choose our subclass, and that is going to be the School of War. Now, we're going to do our traits. We're going to go with our suggested traits. This is a feature I do really like in this character creator, something that you don't get in as many places on D&D Beyond. Is through this whole process, there are going to be suggested things. Basically, quick start, you want to build a character. These are the things that we recommend. You can obviously change them, do whatever you want, do what makes you feel right for the character. But the suggested ones just let you build it out all that faster, and it gives you a really good guideline. It's like, all right, as you know, certain things I know I'm not going to be going strength or finesse as a wizard. You know, I'm going to be putting my points into knowledge, but for someone who has never played either Daggerheart or never played a TTRPG and doesn't know kind of where they need to go with these things, I think this really helps guide players where they need to go, which again is really great, especially for introducing new players into the hobby. So we get our starting weapons. I think a staff is great. Two-handed, primary weapon. I think a wizard with a staff. Sold. And then I think we can select secondary. We get 2. Get a great staff. Range very far. Cool. let's go with... what are we going to do for our second? There's not one recommended. But I think we should pick something kind of melee-ish. Do a quarterstaff. Trade is instinct, which we do have a +1 in. So if we do get into melee, staffs on staffs on staffs, kind of like that. Leather armor is the recommended. This is going to give us thresholds of 6 and 13 base. I like that. Base score of 3, so we get to use the armor 3 times. Let's go with that. Starting inventory, I think we're going to go with a health potion for our squishy wizard. And then a book I'm trying to translate, or a tiny, harmless, elemental pet. I'm going to go with the book no. Elemental pet sounds really cool. It's a fun little thing, you know? It's not a familiar, it's not anything else. It's just a tiny, harmless, elemental pet. Adds a little flavor, and I love that. Then decide what you carry your spells in. Large tomes, tarot cards, etc. Ooh, that's a good one. We could carry them in little Jesus pamphlets. I like the idea of tarot cards, and there was another creator that I responded to. I believe it was one of their TikToks. They wanted to do this. They wanted to put all their spells in tarot cards and have that be the source of their magic. And I like the idea of them starting with not a full deck. So you'd start with like either some of the major arcana and like swords or cups. And then as time went on, as you adventured, you would then build up to a full deck. So at higher level, you would have the full deck of tarot cards. You would have access to all the spells. I like that idea. That's what we're going to do. Perfect. And then we get to pick our domain cards. So these are the books. And these are the reason that I wanted to create this character. So we're going to go through each of these. This is where we get our spells. So Splendor is going to be a lot of our healing and kind of divine magics. And then these codexes give us, I think each of them has 3 spells on it. So Book of Ava, Power Push. Make a spellcast roll against a target within melee range. On a success, they're knocked back into far range and take a d10 plus 2 magic damage using your proficiency. That means it's going to scale. As soon as I get 2 proficiency, it's going to be 2d10 plus 2. Love that. Tava's Armor. Spend a hope to give a target that you can touch a +1 bonus to their armor score until their next rest, or you cast Tava's Armor again. So getting another use of their armor to reduce that damage down 1 severity. I love it. Ice Spike. Make a spellcast roll 12 to summon a large ice spike within far range. If you use it as a weapon, make the spellcast roll against the target's difficulty instead. On a success, deal d6 physical damage using your proficiency. Very cool. Book of Iliad. Slumber. Make a spellcast roll against a target within very close range. On a success, they're asleep until they take damage, or the GM spends a fear on their turn to clear the condition. Arcane Barrage. Once per rest, spend any number of hope and shoot magical projectiles that strike a target of your choice within close range. Roll a number of d6 equal to the hope spent and deal that much damage, magic damage to the target. Very cool. It is Magic Missile. And then Telepathy. Spend hope to open a line of mental communication with one target you can see. The connection lasts until your next rest, or you cast Telepathy again. And then Book of Typhar. Wild Flame. Make a spellcast roll against up to 3 adversaries within melee range. Targets that you succeed against take 2d6 magic damage and must mark a stress as flames erupt from your hand. Very cool. Magic Hand. You conjure a magical hand from the same size and strength as your own within far range. That is very cool that they have that in there. That the strength of the hand is the same strength as your strength. That is one thing that's always kind of bothered me, that the strength of Mage Hand doesn't scale with either your spellcasting ability or your own strength. Like, as your spellcasting ability goes up, your Mage Hand gets stronger, or as you get stronger, the Mage Hand gets stronger. So the fact that that does go up is very cool. Mysterious Mist. Make a spellcast roll 13 to cast a temporary thick fog that gathers in the stationary area within very close range. The fog heavily obscures the area and everything in it. Alright, these are all really cool. I love this. This is also between Ice Spike and Power Push and Tava's Armor. This is definitely a select for me. The other domain that we do have is Splendor, so let's go over that. Bolt Beacon. Make a spellcast roll against a target within far range. On a success, spend a hope to send a bolt of shimmering light towards them, dealing a d8 plus 2 magic damage. Using your proficiency, the target becomes temporarily vulnerable and glows brightly until this condition is cleared. Very cool. Mending Touch. You lay your hands on a creature and channel healing magic to close their wounds. When you take a few minutes to focus on the target you're helping, you can spend 2 hope to clear a hit point or a stress on them. Once per long rest, when you spend this healing time learning something new about them or revealing something about yourself, you can clear 2 hit points or 2 stress instead. Very cool. Little out of combat stress clearing or healing. And then Reassurance. Once per rest, after an ally attempts an action roll, but before the consequences take place, you can offer assistance or words of support. When you do, your ally can re-roll their dice. I think that is going to be it. I like the idea of the healing. I like the idea of having more spells, but I think here we get a good collection of at least starter spells to get us to level 2 when we can select another card. But this, I also like the ability to kind of be there and be able to help our allies and have them re-roll their dice. Again, it's once per rest, but I think it is very cool and very thematic for the class, and kind of it pairs with the other abilities well. You know, if you roll a certain number on a fear, you get a hope, and you know, you kind of playing with the threads of fate. And with the tarot cards, I think it just plays right into that. So now let's talk about our heritage, and that's going to be a combination of our ancestry and our community. All right, so let's see, what have I not selected? All right, so how many domain cards are there for total in Daggerheart across all domains and levels? It is 2 per level from level 2 to 10. So that's 18 plus 3 for your first level. So 21 per domain, and there are 9 domains, I believe. Let me pull it up. It is a lot of cards. Oh, here we are. Core rulebook. So the number of domains are 9 total domains. So 9 times 21. 189 total domain cards to choose from. And each character is going to be different because you're not going to be able to select every single one of the cards. You are only allowed to have 5 cards active at a time. You're basically going to get your 2 cards at first level, and then every time you go up a level, you get to select another card from one of your domains. And then you'll have 5 active cards. So in total, you're going to get 11 cards, 5 of them active every time you have a character. So there's a lot of different options, and you're not going to have, you know, access to every single one with every single character. You're great. All right. And the cards are beautiful. If you haven't gotten them in your hands yet, I sleeved them. This is from the limited edition, but pull up the Just Me. Each one, very shiny, has beautiful art. Nice cards. These ones have like a gold edge to them because they're the limited edition. The art on them is fantastic. They really did a nice job with the physical bits and pieces for this game. The dice that came with the edition are beautiful. The book is great. It has little ribbons as bookmarks. They really kind of went to 11 when it came to the physical parts of the book, which was great. I really liked it. I actually ordered a second one so that I can use one kind of in the game store playing the game, and then I can have one that is my private collection. It is a lot of character possibilities, and like, I'm sure somebody will do the math on Reddit, but between everything for a core rulebook, I think the amount of options you have is, some people say it feels kind of limited, but I think that's at level 1, because once you start going up in the levels, like, the world is your oyster. There's a lot of cool possibilities. And there are character defining abilities that you get at higher levels. The level like 7, 8, 9, 10 abilities are just massive. And you're like, okay, so my character is going to be about this when it gets to it. You know? The ones for this one are, you know, unbreakable. When you mark your last hit point, instead of making a death move, you can roll a d6 and clear a number of hit points equal to that result, and then place the card in your vault. Like, that's absolutely amazing. Lead by example. When you deal damage to an adversary, you can mark a stress and describe how you encourage your allies. The next PC to make an attack roll against that adversary can clear a stress and gain a hope. Like, there are really cool high-level abilities, and you're only really going to be able to pick one of them. So, like, the want to create more and more characters and play more and more Daggerheart is there. It's kind of like Baldur's Gate. You can only select so many classes and subclasses for your run, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what I want? I want 4 paladins. And then you end up playing Baldur's Gate again. Oh, woe is us. All right, so let's choose our ancestry. Do I want to be a wizard frog? You can breathe and move naturally underwater. Long tongue, you can use your long tongue to grab onto things within close range. Mark a stress to use your tongue as a finesse close weapon that deals 1d12 physical damage using your proficiency. I don't know if that pairs really well with wizard, but it's cool. We could be a wizard fungro. Let me go back to my cards. All right. Domain deck. I want to remember. No, I picked one of them. Power push. I did not go with the telepathy one, which I thought of would have been a kind of a cool thing to like pair up with being a fungrel. But let's Galapa. I did a Galapa. I like this one. Let's do a Goblin Wizard. I think that'll be fun. So goblins are small humanoids, easily recognizable by their large eyes and massive membranous ears. You can ignore disadvantage on agility rolls, which is very cool. And then Danger Sense. Once per rest, mark a stress to force an adversary to re-roll an attack against you or an ally within very close range. I'm a wizard, I'm squishy, and I think that might be helpful. And then for community, I mean, classically you're going to do like, there's a lot of really, Loreborn, Highborn, but I think with the tarot cards, I think it's going to be Wanderborn. I'm imagining like traveling, wandering, picking up cards from different communities and developing this little deck over time. I think that is pretty cool. And we get Nomadic Pack, which I think is a fun ability. Add a Nomadic Pack to your inventory. Once per session, you can spend a hope to reach into the pack and pull out a mundane item that's useful to the situation. Work with your GM to figure out what is the item you take out. I like that. So that is what we are going to do. All right, so let's do, we're going to do all these, but I want to think about our experiences, because this plays such a large part of Daggerheart, and I want to really think about the experiences that this wizard would have as a Wanderborn, traveling the world. Interesting. So clothings are, I want to say, short purple robes lined with silver. Eyes like, that's a good one. Eyes like ice. Cool, blue, deep. And a body that's thin, toned, thin and toned. I am the color of goblin. Let's do a nice sea green. Like that. And an attitude that is short. Short but friendly. These are great questions. Background questions, and these are specific for each of the classes. What responsibilities did your community once count on you for? How did you let them down? Don't know. Let's think about this. What responsibilities did your community count on you? Let's go back to our domain cards. Let's see with the spells that I knew. I was responsible for like the defense of the caravan. I would say I didn't stop an attack. I enjoy that. That's good, I think. Didn't stop an attack. You spent your life searching for a book or an object of great significance. What is it and why is it so important to you? What would be the most important card in a tarot deck for this character? Let me grab my tarot deck. What card would they be looking for? I think it would have to be a major arcana card. I mean, death is cool. The High Priestess. I think the Lover. Because this is Domain of War, right? We're looking for balance. We're looking for the Lover tarot card for my deck. I think that is what I am going to do. You have a powerful rival. Who are they and why are they so determined? Or why are you so determined to defeat them? That is... I will have pre-made ones, Chunk. 100%. If you want to use your book to create one, you're more than happy to, but I will have pre-mades if you would like it. Chunk is one of the players in our Tuesday night game that I talk about a lot. He is fantastic. He joined us right towards the beginning of this campaign, and he loves us. Powerful rival. Is it going to be another wizard? It's going to be a sibling. Sibling got to stay. We left because we failed. Sister. No magical ability. Just pure martial. I like that. I like sister, who is a fighter. We had to leave after our failure. She got to stay. Love that. All right. Now to the experiences. I was hoping something was going to come to me, and nothing came to me. So, experiences, mute real fast. All right, I'm back. All right, experience. We need our first experience. I think the power of ice. Power of magic. Banishment. Let's go to the text. 6 months before Frontier. That's right, you were towards the end of Disc of Eternity, right? You did play some Disc of Eternity? Sellsword, World Traveler, Affable, Battle-Hardened, Bookworm, Charming. This is what I love. Experience examples right here. Like, I'm stuck and I just need some inspiration. I like phrases. Phrases are fun. Catch me if you can't, fake it till you make it. First time's a charm. Hold the line. I won't let you down. Knowledge is power. Nature's friend. Wolf in sheep's clothing. Let's think. The show must go on. I'm stuck. So let's look up phrases. Let's use, all right. Break the ice, bite the bullet, hit the nail on the head, cat out of the bag, speak of the devil. Speak of the devil. That is gonna be, I like that. Social situations I've been around, all of a sudden someone comes up, speak of the devil. And then actions speak louder than words. I think that will be my other one. I like that. Yeah. 100%. That seems about right. That's the way I remember it. Connections, again, we're not going to do connections here. I firmly believe this should be done either at a session 0 or with your players, other players, to create those bonds in between. And since we're just kind of creating these characters to just learn more about the game, we're not going to add these. So those are those. We're not going to level up right now, but we're going to look at our character sheet. We're going to get everything equipped, and then I think we're going to level up this character a little bit. I want to take a look at the higher level domain cards. So I think we're going to do that. All right. Get our equipment equipped. Get our great staff. Quarterstaff. Can only do one, so we're gonna do great staff, leather armor, get our healing potion up, and a little bit, and our back. So there's our thresholds. We have 7 and 14. It would be 6 and 13, but you add 1 to the level. We have our great staff here. Let's see how we roll for it the first time. We don't do great. We do a 7 with fear. So, not a good start for this character. We have 3 armor slots, an evasion of 11. Beautiful. Calculate damage. Enter the raw damage number. We'll say it's 15. Use an armor slot. Oh, this calculates the damage. That's really cool. For people who struggle, like, figuring out thresholds in math and what an armor slot or resistance would be. That's handy to have right on the sheet right there. That's very cool. All right, let's tag again, see how we do. That was better. That is 17 with hope. So we would gain a hope. Gain a hope. Perfect. We have our abilities. And then for the School of War, we gain an additional hit point slot, which is cool. And then when you succeed with fear on an attack roll, You deal an extra d10 magic damage. Very awesome. And these are for our subclass. I love it. All right, let's level this character up. Let's pump it up. Let's see what this character looks like at higher levels and what leveling up kind of looks like. Oh yeah, Chunk, I'm going to be running it on Saturday, and I'm planning on running it for most of the summer. I really like this system, and I have a lot of fun with it. I enjoy running it a lot, so I'm excited to run it more this summer between our two campaigns. But let's level. Oh, this allows you to do the downtime things. This is a nice little feature, actually. So you get to select what you're doing in your downtime for short rests. And then in long rests, you get to select what you're doing as well. And then this is the session reset with the explanations. I love that. Very cool. All right. Let's go back to our character builder. My wife has a friend that's watching that is thirsting over me in this live stream. It's fine. At least she's texting my wife as well, but she's thirsting. All right, so let's level up. So back to our experience struggle. Something we're just gonna do. That is something that I imagine that they would get. My wife finds it funny that her friend is hitting on me. Fine. Power of friendship. I think this is something the character. Thirsting, no, that is 100% right, Justin. So power of friendship, this is something this character would kind of gain at level 1, joining a party. They would realize that they're not alone, that their old family, their nomadic family, and their newfound family can be the same. For this website, there is a membership. You buy the material, and then you are able to create the characters. It's a desert out there. It's true. You can also buy the book and do it on paper, which I think is a very cool method of doing it. You can just create characters, or you can come over and I can show you how to do it with my wife's supervision. All right, so we have our experience, power of friendship. Love that. We're going to increase our proficiency. Our proficiency is going to go up by 1. And then we are going to have our level up options for level 2. We have increased traits, gain +1 bonus to 2 unmarked character traits and mark them. We can gain an HP slot, permanently gain 1 HP slot, permanently gain 1 stress slot, increase our experiences, permanently gain +1 to 2 different experiences. Choose a domain card, choose an additional domain card for your level or lower level from a domain that you have access to up to level 4, and then permanently gain a +1 bonus to your evasion. I want a domain card. Oh, that's levels 3 or 4, so we're not going to worry about that yet. I'm glad you're excited about it. So, increased proficiency. So do I not select these yet? That is what I'm wondering. And then choose a domain card. I would select these. So as we go up to level 2, power of friendship, that's what we had to do. We had to increase it here. We increase our proficiency. We get to, I want to increase some traits. And I'm going to increase knowledge and presence because those are two of our primary ones. You don't need to apologize, Justin. Don't you worry about that. Okay. All right, we get to another level up option. So we can either gain an HP, gain a stress slot, increase our experiences, which I think is what we're going to do. We are going to select this. We are going to gain a plus to the power of friendship and then speak of the devil. I think we would learn that these experiences 100% would kind of increase. And then we get to choose our domain card. So for level 2 for the codex, always making me blush. It's fine. I do the same in return. So we get 2 new grimoires here. So adjust appearance. You magically shift your appearance and clothing to avoid recognition. Paralela. Spend 2 hope to cast this spell on yourself or an ally within close range. The next time the target makes an attack, they can hit an additional target within range that their attack roll would succeed against. You can only hold this spell on 1 creature at a time. That's cool. Illusion. Make a spellcast roll 14. On a success, create a temporary visual illusion no larger than you within close range that lasts as long as you look at it. It holds up to scrutiny until an observer is within melee range. Very cool. Book of Vargas. Runic Lock. Make a spellcast roll 15 on an object that you're touching that can close, such as a lock chest or box. Once pressed on a success, you can lock the object so that it can only be opened by the creature of your choice. Someone with access to magic and an hour time of study with the spell can break it. Arcane Door. When you have no adversaries within melee range, make a spellcast roll 13. On a success, spend hope to create a portal from where you are to a point within far range you can see. It closes once a creature has passed through it. I like that. And then Reveal. Make a spellcast roll. If there is anything magical hidden within close range, the roll would succeed against it is revealed. What do we get for the Splendor side? Final words. You can infuse a corpse with a moment of life to speak to it. Make a spell, so we're going to speak with dead here. On a success with hope, the corpse answers up to 3 questions. On a success with fear, the corpse answers 1 question. The corpse answers truthfully, but it can't impart information it didn't know in life. On a failure, or once the corpse has finished answering your questions, the body turns into dust. Healing Hands. Make a spellcast roll 13 on a target or creature other than yourself within melee range. On a success, mark a stress to clear 2 hit points or 2 stresses from the target. I think that's cool, and I think I would select that card because I have friends now and I want to help them. These the grimoires are very cool, but nothing, I mean, Book of Vargas is pretty nifty. If I was going to go with one, it would most likely be the Book of Vargas. But I like the idea of having the Healing Hand spell. And I think once we go up another level, we'll see what the grimoires say. I might come back and just pick up this grimoire. All right. So that's level 2. Let's go back to our character sheet and take a look at what it looks like now. All right, so we can see our increases over here. We now have our new experiences. Our thresholds have gone up with our level. Thank you. And we have Wizard class features, School of War subclass, Goblin, Wanderborn. Excellent. Let's go right up to level 3. We're just going to keep chugging right along. All right, so we're going to level up to level 3. So going up to level 3, our level up options, we can do increased traits again. I think we're going to select an additional domain card because we can now at level 3. So I think we're going to choose that. Choose a domain card. Let's look at what we get for codexes. Book of Korvax is going to be our first grimoire. Levitation. Make a spellcast roll to temporarily lift a target that you can see up into the air and move them within close range of their original position. Recant. Spend a hope to force a target within melee range to make a reaction roll. On a failure, they forget the last minute of your conversation. That's fun. You could just be walking along and just all of those really awkward moments in life where you're like, I wish I could erase the last 60 seconds of this conversation. You could definitely do that with the Book of Korvax, which is very fun. And then Rune Circle. Mark a stress to create a temporary magic circle on the ground where you stand. All adversaries within melee range or who enter melee range take 2d12 plus 4 magic damage and are knocked back to very close range. That is cool. I like that. Kind of just knocks them back from melee range so you can kick them out. Book of Norai. Only 2 on here, but one of them is Fireball. Mystic Tether. Make a spellcast roll against a target within far range. On a success, they're temporarily restrained and must mark a stress. If your target is flying, the spell grounds them and temporarily restrains them. Fireball. Make a spellcast roll against a target within very far range. On a success, you hurl a sphere of fire towards that explodes on impact. The target and all creatures within very close range of them must make a reaction roll 13. Targets who fail take 1d20 plus 5 magic damage using your proficiency. So this will go up a d20 for each level of proficiency that you go up. Targets who succeed take half damage. That makes it very swingy rolling a d20. That's just going to have to happen because it's Fireball. And then I get to select another domain card so we can look at the other level 3s. Second Wind. Once per rest, when you succeed on an attack against an adversary, you can clear 3 stress or a hit point. On a success with Hope, you can also clear 3 stress or a hit point on an ally within close range of you. Very cool. Voice of Reason. You speak with an unmatched power and authority. You have advantage on action rolls to de-escalate violent situations or convince someone to follow your lead. Additionally, you're emboldened in moments of duress. When all of your stress slots are marked, you gain a +1 bonus to your proficiency for damage rolls. I like this with the experiences that I've already created. I feel like it flows really well. I think, yeah. Because we have Speak of the Devil. So we have Speak of the Devil and the ability to use the Voice of Reason. I think those combined together are great. All right. Now, for my second one, I can increase traits again. increase my evasion, gain an HP slot, gain a stress slot. I think our evasion's already pretty good. Let's just do an HP slot, something simple. So now we are level 3. Let's start looking at some of the higher level items that would be available for a character and equip them. Because we've done some exploring. Equipment. Filters. Can we do tier 2? Let's look at what is available to us at tier 2. Let's see what a tier 2 great staff would look like. So these are all improved weapons over the tier 1 equivalents. Glowing rings, grappler, improved great staff right here. Very far, d6 plus 3, burden 2-handed, powerful on a successful attack roll. Roll an additional damage die and discard the lower result. That is very cool. So we're going to say that we got one of those. And then improved leather armor. We'll say that we got this as well. So this is what we're going to uncheck our great staff and our leather armor. And we're going to go improved and improved. And let's take a look at our stats and see what they look like now. Okay, we got our 4 armor slots. Now at level 3, our thresholds are 12 and 23. They're growing really quickly. Very cool. Evasion of 11. Again, those 4 armor slots. With our proficiency, we're looking at 2d6 plus 3 magical damage with that great staff. But a lot of what we're going to be doing is using our spells. This is just going to be kind of hope generation. All right, I will be right back. I just need to use a bio break. All right, I am back. So I'm absolutely adoring this character creator. Now that I've used it now a second time, I really like Demiplane for character creation. I think the tools that they have here are fantastic. And I mean, again, this is not something that's become overly complicated yet. You know, like with D&D Beyond, like if you have characters, there's just so many options that it's a little bit cluttered, but I also feel like the ability to manage your character is just, unless you know where to find certain things, you can't find them very easily on D&D Beyond. I still struggle finding certain ways to manipulate your characters on D&D Beyond, but with Demiplane, if I want something, I've been able to find it quickly and easily, and I absolutely love that about it. All right, should we do another character or level this one up a little more? Let's see if they're rolling any better. $16 with hope, not bad. All right. Let's go up a couple more levels. Let's get back over into our character builder. So we're going to be going from level 3 to level 4. Oops, I messed up. I think I broke it, guys. All right, there we go. All right, back to the character builder. Let's get up to tier 3, which I believe is level 5. Oops, I keep failing. All right, let's take a look. Let's level up. We're going to level 4. Let's just shoot the moon. We're going to level 5. But with level 4, we get our level up options again. Let's get rid of our -1. And then I think we'll go up an instinct. Level 4, we get a domain card, so let's look at those codexes. Codex of Exota. Repudiate. You can interrupt a magical effect taking place. Make a reaction roll using your spellcasting trait. Once per rest on a success, the effect stops and any consequences are avoided. That is very cool. It's basically counterspell. Create construct. Spend a hope to choose a group of objects around you and create an animated construct that obeys basic commands. Make a spellcast roll to command them to take action. When necessary, they share your evasion and traits, and their attacks deal 2d10 plus 3 physical damage. You can only maintain one construct at a time, and they fall apart when they take any amount of damage. That's cool. Book of Grin. Arcane Deflection. Once per long rest, spend a hope to negate the damage of an attack targeting you or an ally within very close range. Very cool. Once per rest is a little bit of a bummer, but it's still helpful. Time lock. Target an object within far range. That object stops in time and space exactly where it is until your next rest. If a creature tries to move it, make a spellcast roll against it for them to maintain this spell. That's cool. And then Wall of Flame. Make a spellcast roll. On a success, create a wall of magical flame between 2 points within far range. All creatures in its path must choose a side to be on, and anything that subsequently passes through the wall takes 4d10 plus 3 magic damage. I like those. Let's see what we get with Splendor. So, Divination. Once per long rest, spend 3 hope to reach out to the forces beyond and ask one yes or no question about an event, person, place, or situation in the near future. For a moment, the present falls away from you and you see the answer before you. Interesting. Life Ward. Spend 3 hope. When you choose an ally within close range, you are marked with a glowing sigil of protection. When this ally would make a death move, they clear a hit point instead. This effect ends when it saves the target from a death move. You cast Life Ward on another target, or you take a long rest. Okay, they're cool. I think these are great. I don't know if they fit in with the character we're kind of building. So let's get back to, I think we're going to go with the Book of Grin. Time Lock is very cool. Arcane Deflection is useful, even though we can only use it once per rest. And then Wall of Flame, I love that. So we're going to add those. We get another. So those are all set. All set. Perfect. Now we get to. Do we have one more level up option? 2 selections. Choose. That's that. We get one more. So let us gain. We'll do the evasion. All right. So at level 5, we're going up a tier. Our proficiency is going up. What are we going to have for our next experience? I think it should be something. We've picked a lot of fire spells, so I feel like it should be something fire based. I think maybe. I don't know. Renewing Flame. Yeah, I think that'll work. Efficiency goes up. Level up options. We can increase our experiences. Same ones as before. Upgrade subclass. I think that is what we're going to do. We're going to upgrade our subclass as the first one because I want to see what that looks like. And then let's do increased experiences. I want to do the power of friendship and actions speak louder than words. And then for our domain card, we are now up to level 5. This is an individual spell. So manifest wall, make a spellcast roll 15 once per rest on a success. Spend a hope to create a temporary magical wall between 2 points within far range. It can be up to 50 feet high and form at any angle. Creatures or objects in its path are shunted to a side of your choice. The wall stays up until your next rest or until you cast Manifest Wall again. That's very cool. Shape material is going to be coming from the Splendor domain to shape a section of natural material you're holding, such as stone, ice, or wood to suit your purpose. The area of the material can be no larger than you. For example, you can form a rudimentary tool or create a door. You can only affect the material within close range of when you are touching it. Smite, that is cool art for sure. Once per rest, spend 3 hope to charge your powerful smite. When you next successfully attack with a weapon, double the result of your damage roll. This attack deals magic damage regardless of the weapon's damage type. Cool. Teleport. Once per long rest, you can instantly teleport yourself and any number of willing targets within close range to a place that you've been before. Choose one of the following options when making a spellcast roll 16. If you know the place very well, gain a +3 bonus. If you visited the place frequently, gain a +1 bonus. If you visited the place infrequently, gain no modifier. If you've only been there once, gain a -2 penalty. On a success, you appear where you were intending to go. On a failure, you appear off course within the range of failure determining how far off course. Okay. I think teleported is. Yeah, teleportation's good. I agree, Terry. It's all about that teleport. Cool. Let's take a look at our character sheet at level 5. So level 5, minor damage threshold's now 14. Major's going to be 15 or 25. That's a really good jump. School of War, we upgraded this, so let's see. Still got Battle Mage. You focus on your studies, becoming an unconquerable force on the battlefield, gain an additional hit point slot. We still have our Fear. Conjure Shield. You can maintain a protective barrier of magic when you have at least 2 hope. You add your proficiency to your evasion. That's cool. And then fueled by fear. That means face your fear. When you succeed, oh, it just increases our fueled by fear. Instead of 1d10, it is now 2d10 for the upgraded subclass, which is very nifty. Let's take a look at the equipment we get at level 3. Filters, tier play 3. Firm. All right. So, advanced. Great staff right here. Now this is a +6. So this is similar to the other one, except we're just increasing the plus to damage on it. We'll do that. And then let's actually double flail, dragon scale armor, fire staff, burning. When you roll a d6 on the damage die, the target must mark a stress. That's a magic item. That is very cool. I like the magic items in Daggerheart. There's also really great random magic tables. Overall, absolutely adore the tables. I like the way they work. You roll a number of d12s and the number of d12s that are available. Very cool. So you just add the totals to it, and then so if you roll, I think it's like 5 d12s for legendary, you still need to roll really well on the d12s in order to get to some of the nicer items on the table. So these are very cool. Some of the magic items that are available. So like, this is going to use knowledge, which is our primary stat. Attacking to far, it's going to be d6 plus 7. It is one-handed, so we could do something in our offhand, and it also has that powerful feature. On a successful attack, roll an additional damage die and discard the lowest result. Very cool. Runes of Fortification. I think, let's look what that looks like. Base thresholds are 1743, base score of 6. Feature is painful. Each time you mark an armor slot, you must mark a stress. Those are some thresholds. That is very cool. The fact that you can push at tier 5, which is halfway through the levels, you can push your thresholds as a wizard to 2248 with an evasion of 12. Some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, every time you mark an armor slot, you also have to mark a stress, but it's fine. I'm sure I won't be that stressed about anything. All right. So I think, I'll show you the guys those tables. I really like these tables. So let me see. An adventure, loot. I think it's in the loot section. Yep. So for loot, the items and consumables you find along the journey are known as loot. The GM can pull loot from the following tables or use the tables as inspiration to create their own unique loot. So basically you roll the number of d12s per rarity of the item that you want to get or to offer to your players. So if they're getting a common item, they can roll 1 or 2 d12, which means their maximum number would be a 24 vial of dark smoke recipe. You can create a vial of dark smoke. Cool. For legendary items, you can do 4d12 or 5d12. So if you roll all 5d12 and you get all 12s, you can get the Belt of Unity, but it is only if you roll really well on all of those d12s. Also, the magic items that you get are very cool. There is a whole section of relics. You gain, it's just a simple +1, and you can only carry one of them, so you don't have to worry about stacking or anything like that. And there's just really kind of great flavorful magic items that aren't really, they're different, and I love it. So like Paragon's Chain, as a downtime move, you can meditate on an ideal or principle that you hold dear and focus into this change. Once per long rest, you can spend a hope to roll a d20 as your hope die for rolls that directly align with that principle. It goes back into that this is a communal storytelling adventure, and taking those little RP moments are going to gain you benefits. This is the vial, or that was the vial of dark smoke, and they have this for, I think this is just straight loot. Then these are consumables, similar table. 60 is a star drop. You can use this star drop to summon a hailstorm of comets that deal 8d20 physical damage to all targets within very far range. That's great. Mirror of Marigold. When you take damage, you can spend a hope to negate that damage, after which the mirror shatters. Very cool. And then, I mean, those are the two kind of loot charts in here. And it has some of the items that we were looking at there. Yeah. And then I think it also has, let's go to the equipment section. I'll show you the equipment section. This goes through kind of how to do everything, and then these are the tier tables. So you have the tier 2 magical weapons. These were some of the ones that we were looking at. Dagger of Devouring, Ego Blade. You must have a presence of 0 lower to use this weapon. Keeper's Staff, reliable, +1 to attack rolls. I like how you get a good batch of like basic magic items, and then you get some ones that have a little bit additional flavor. And these aren't any like wall of text magic items. These are not like some of the magic items you would see in the D&D Dungeon Master's Guide. There's not like this huge block of text. There's just a little bit of flavor that makes them cool. And then the thing that really brings it to the next level is the things that your character can do, which are awesome. Let's look at some of the tier 4 stuff. Hand cannon, finesse, very far, d6 +12 physical. After you make an attack roll, roll a d6 on a 1. You must mark a stress to reload this weapon before you can fire it again. Interesting. Curved dagger, serrated. When you roll a 1 on a damage dice, it deals 8 damage instead. Interesting. It's very cool stuff. Then you have the legendary Returning Blade. This weapon cuts through solid material. Sword of Light and Flame. It's a weird way of saying lightsaber. Very weird way of saying lightsaber. Fusion gloves. You gain a bonus to your damage roll equal to your level. That is cool. Especially because this is tier 4, so 7. So you get 8, 9, or 10 addition to your damage rolls. That's very, very cool. There's just a lot of good stuff. Like, I'm working on my non-one game review of Daggerheart, and the more that I get into it and the more that I look through this stuff, the more I'm impressed by it. I love Dungeons and Dragons, and the parts of Dungeons and Dragons that I really like and I really love translate to Daggerheart. There are so many very cool things and things that I've integrated into my Dungeons and Dragons games that I got from Daggerheart. Like, one of the things that I love to do is just look at my players and go, they walk into a room, they see an individual, and they ask, what's the name of the individual? And I ask them, what is this individual's name? And they get to make it up on the spot. You know, with this, I've got some really great characters. The multi-generational trolls in Frontier, known as Dingus, Dingus the First, Dingus the Second, Dingus the Third. Without doing that, I never would have had Dingus. I would have had some other troll name for these characters. But my players got pulled into the story, and they were able to create something that they get to keep visiting and going back and seeing, which I absolutely love. The one thing that I'm still wrapping my head around with Daggerheart is temporarily. So some abilities say temporarily on them. They're temporarily restrained. Now, that's perfectly fine. There is no definitive amount of time. So one of them, I think, is a Grasping Vines thing. It comes up, it restrains them, they're grappled. Okay. And it says temporarily. And it says temporarily, and in the book, it says temporarily can mean anything. So if they cast a teleportation spell, that ends it. If they do damage to the vines, that could end it. It is up to the conversation between the player and the game master to determine when that effect ends. There's no definitive breakout rules. There's no make an agility check to break out of this. It is open-ended. And I don't necessarily struggle with it. It is just one of those things that I'm having the most difficult time kind of adjusting to mentally. And I think once I have it at the table, I think it'll be much better for me to kind of like, because there are perfect times that make sense. You know, even in Dungeons and Dragons, when someone casts Thunderwave, I think creatures would cover their ears right after. It would be instinctual. So if they're grappling someone, I think it would end that grapple. And, you know, oftentimes as a DM, I would. And I think that's kind of the temporary kind of, I think that's the way temporary works in my mind. But again, I haven't experienced it enough at my table to be super mega comfortable with it. Dragon Grace, how we doing? But again, overall, especially now that, you know, I think even from the release party and them saying that this is the beginning of Daggerheart, not the end. We created this thing and it is now in the world. And this is the start of Daggerheart and not the completion of the book. Oh, that's awesome. Them also now adding on additional staff, Jeremy Crawford, Chris Perkins, from the WotC D&D team, I think really show that they're playing the long game and that they're going to invest time and resources into this in a way that makes sense. I also love 100% the fact that they did not kickstart this. There was no GoFundMe, no crowdfunding, none of that. It was, we are making Daggerheart. This is how you pre-order it, and let's go. I appreciate them for doing that, and I think, you know, I'm interested to see what the next releases are going to be. Is it going to be a monster manual? Is it going to be a bunch of campaign frames? Is it going to be, you know, all of the different books? Are they, or all of the different things in one book? We'll get a book of 4 or 5 campaign frames, 40 or 50 monsters, a new class and a subclass. Because right now, like, if for those who don't know, let's go to Daggerheart. The Void on Daggerheart. This is the playtesting hub where fans of Daggerheart can explore in development content before its official release. Designed for creators and players alike, the Void offers early access to experimental classes, subclasses, ancestries, communities, adversaries, loot, weapons, and more. Bring these test materials to the table and then send your feedback to the Darrington Press team to help shape the future of Daggerheart. This was released day 1. On the day that Daggerheart was released, the Void was released. And it has the Warlock class and the Fighter class. So it has 2 fully fledged out classes with 2 subclasses each and new domain cards ready to go. And they're cool and they're thematic and they're different than what's already there. So you get the full chunk, right? So this is Bone and Valor. This is 2 existing domains, Bone and Valor. So there's no new cards, but you have stances, like, so for, well, we'll just go through it a little bit. Let's take a look at the Fighter. So you're going to have your basic character sheet, your class feature, I am the weapon. While you don't have any equipped weapons, your evasion has a +1 bonus. Your unarmed strikes are considered a melee weapon. Use the trait of your choice and deal D10 plus your tier physical damage. Combo strikes. After you make a damage roll with a melee weapon, but before dealing that damage to the target, mark a stress to start a combo strike. When you do, roll a combo die and note its value. Then roll another combo die. If the value of the second die is equal to or greater than that of your first combo die, continue rolling additional dice until the latest combo dice value is less than the roll that preceded it. Total all rolled combo die and add that value to your weapon's damage. Your combo die starts as a D4. When you level up once per tier, you may use one of your advancement options to increase your combo die instead. That's cool. This is very much flurry of blows. I hit once, I hit twice, I kick, I knee, I elbow to do this massive amount of damage. We have, again, even for playtest material, they have all of it. They have your suggested traits, your suggested primary weapon, suggested armor, connections, all of this, your level ups. And then we have stances. So for this, we have, it looks like you get 2 stances per tier. So let's just go over some of them. Tier 1 stance is brutal. When you roll the maximum value on a damage dice, roll an additional damage die. So now we're not only comboing, when we roll a maximum die, we're getting another die. Attack rolls have disadvantage unless the adversary marks a stress for defensive. Grappling on a successful attack, you can spend a focus to make the target temporarily restrained. That's the temporarily we were talking about. Steady, gain a -1 penalty to your evasion. When you deal damage on a successful attack, roll an additional damage die and drop the lowest. Gain a +1 bonus to your attack rolls with precise and then quick. When making an attack roll, spend a focus to include an additional target within range. So we are able to now attack 2 targets with combos and additional dice. So there's a lot of really cool, very like, this is monk flavored all over it. This is not a fighter in the D&D sense. This is a fighter in the martial arts sense. Let's just jump right up to these tier 4 stances. Crushing. When you roll a 1 on a damage die, it can be treated as the highest value of the dice instead. That's amazing. It's not just a reroll, it's you just take a damage dice and you turn it from a 1 to the maximum number. Infuriating. On a successful attack, your target becomes furious. While furious, they are vulnerable and have a -2 penalty to their attack rolls. They can only clear furious by succeeding on an attack roll against you. Sweeping. Your attack targets all adversaries within very close range. Deal half damage to all targets you succeed against. That is very cool. So you are literally just roundhouse kicking your way around the circle. And then discerning. You may choose the target of your attack after making your attack roll. The GM will let you know who the attack would succeed against. Very cool. Not only that is we have our subclasses. We have a Juggernaut and a Martial Artist. So let's take a look at these. Juggernaut, gain a permanent +3 bonus to your severe damage threshold. Very cool. On a successful attack, you can spend a hope to force the target to mark a stress. Amazing. Increase the damage die for your unarmed attacks to a D12. Remember, if we roll a 1 on that D12, it turns into a 12 with some of those stances. Eye for an eye. When you mark more than 1 hit point from an attack in melee range, the attacker must make a reaction roll 14. On failure, once per rest, they immediately mark the same number of hit points in return. You did 2 hit points to me. I'm doing 2 hit points to you. Excellent. Pummeljoy. When you roll a critical success on a weapon attack against an adversary in melee range, you gain an additional hope, clear an additional stress, and add +1 to your proficiency for the attack. So this would be in the last tier of play. So your proficiency is already probably 4 or 5. So you're going to be rolling 5 or so dice with this attack to do damage. Very cool. Not done yet. When you mark more than 1 HP from an attack, you may gain a hope or clear a stress. Very cool. All right, Martial Artist. Foundation, Martial Form. Take the Martial Form sheet. So this is where you get those stances. You start with 2 martial stances from tier 1. When you reach a new tier, you take 2 additional stances from your tier lower. And then for focus, you mark a stress to place a number of focus tokens on this card up to the value of your instinct, minimum of 1. Spend a focus to activate or shift into a different stance. It lasts until you mark your last hit point. You take severe damage, the stance ends, or you shift into another stance. Martial Artist, Keen Defenses. This is our specialization. This is going to be when we level it up. When you are targeted with an attack, you can spend a focus to make the adversary's roll use a D12 instead of a D20. That's cool. That's just a straight reduction in their ability to hit you. Spirit Blast, spend a focus to make an attack roll using instinct against your adversary within close range. On a success, you deal D20 +3 magic damage using your proficiency and can spend an additional focus to make them temporarily vulnerable. Really cool stuff from the Martial Artist. And then at the top level, at the Mastery level, Limit Breaker. After rolling your damage from a melee attack, you can spend a focus to shift the value of that damage by +1. On any damage that has already landed up to the maximum, roll an additional damage die instead. Again, very cool, very excellent. And this is all in the fighter. This is playtest material for Daggerheart available on the Void. So seeing this is kind of what, and not only that, is the Warlock has 2 new subclasses. So this uses Dread and Grace. Dread is a new domain, and you get the new domain cards as part of the playtest. So they released the 9 domains, the subclasses, everything, and then they have in the playtest materials 2 new classes, 4 new subclasses, a whole new domain, and then this is where they're starting from. So with the addition of now Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins, they're putting effort into this. This is where they're going from here. Like, I imagine there will be a book released announced at some point that are going to include the Warlock, the Fighter, that are going to include more monsters, maybe a full monster book. Campaign frames, we're already seeing some third-party content come through on campaign frames. Really, like, there's a lot of effort being put behind Daggerheart to make it long lasting, to make this a TTRPG people are going to play for years, which is great. And I'm really excited to really play it over the summer, and really, once my Tuesday night game ends, really kind of focus in and really put a lot of testing into Daggerheart and see if it breaks at higher tiers of play. What does it look like past level 5? What does it look like at level 10? High level one shots, like, you know, bringing in the story aspect, running short stories, one shot stories, longer stories. Like, where is Daggerheart really singing? And are there any spots that it falls flat? You know, I've have hundreds of hours of time DMing Dungeons and Dragons, but I'm only, you know, probably 40-50 hours in you know, DMing Daggerheart, and a lot of that was playtest. There's definitely some things that have changed since the playtest that are now that I have to kind of, like, through repetition, like, burn into my brain. And it's been really helpful making the videos for Daggerheart and kind of sitting here and kind of creating characters, because I'm, like, burning that math into my brain. All right, this is the way thresholds work. This is the way this is what happens when I level up. This is how you level up, you know, kind of going through those repetitions myself and not just having my players go through it has been incredibly helpful to me. But yeah, it'll be interesting. The most exciting thing for me about Daggerheart and thinking about, you know, running it over the summer is seeing how different it feels at the table over multiple sessions with the same characters. Like, building that story, I'm really interested to see if it feels different, it feels the same. You know, in my running of it, it's been mostly one shots and, like, 2 shots, because they had 2 adventures. So really, you get a nice, like, I had a lot of fun running the quick start adventure, because there's a lot of spots in the quick start adventure where you're interacting with your players. You're going, all right, there's one part in the quick start adventure that you walk into a tavern, and each floor of this tavern that is built in this tree is different. And you ask your players, how is this floor different than the other floors? And I had mushroom floors, I had half-height floors, you know, where it's just like being John Malkovich size. I had one that was just a brothel. Like, I had these really great things that my players were coming up with that I was integrating into the game. And that's something that like I said, I did pull into my Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I will ask my players what things look like, or what makes this area different than other areas in Frontier, because I want to involve them in that story. And I think that part of Daggerheart has influenced the way that I DM greatly, and I love it. And I'm really interested to see, once I succumb to just running Daggerheart and not integrating the parts that I really like about Daggerheart into my dungeon mastering, I think it'll be I'm excited. And I'm also excited to kind of share with you guys, like, what I love about Daggerheart and what I'm noticing at the table and my best practices. You know, there's a physicality to Daggerheart that I love too, with the cards and the gems and the hope and fear and the flow of it kind of back and forth. It's not just, I have spell slots, I use spell slots. It's, I have hope, you're gaining hope, you're using hope, you're maxed out on hope. I have to figure out ways to burn hope. Normally I wouldn't use this 3 hope ability, but you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm maxed out on hope. And it's the same for fear. You know, a DM can only have 12 fear. So if all of a sudden I'm getting up there 9, 10, 11 fear, like I need to spend some of these things. I need to spotlight adversaries, and I need to really start rolling and using some of this fear to make influential impacts on the game, the world that we're creating together. And I'm very excited about that. And my Tuesday night game ends, I think the last Tuesday night game is the 22nd of July. So that'll be, I'm on vacation, my birth anniversary. And then starting on the 29th through August, I'll be running Daggerheart into September. Our turnout on our Tuesday night games usually goes down pretty significantly over the course of August because a lot of people go on vacation. So we've learned not to run sections of our campaign during that time. So we take time off, but I still think that I will have a good enough collection of players to run Daggerheart during that period. I feel pretty strongly about that, actually, that I should have enough players. I know the other DMs that run in my Tuesday night game are very excited about playing in games of Daggerheart as well, and kind of also experimenting with Daggerheart to see what it's like as a player and what it's like as a game master. I know you're in, Terry. You're gonna have to take a Tuesday night off and come down and play. Maybe we can convince Michelle to come down too. Or maybe I'll run a special game just for you two. And try to find a third or a fourth. We'll have a grand old time with it. So, I'm also excited about campaign frames, and I want to talk about campaign frames until I'm blue in the face. Campaign frames, I think, are the perfect level of module. I don't trying to start trying campaign frames excite me in a way. I recently made a TikTok talking about how I've never run Curse of Strahd, or I've never played in Curse of Strahd. And the reason I don't run modules is I don't like the rigidity of it. I don't like, this is what you're going to do and this is how you're going to do it. And the thing about campaign frames is it is just enough to spark my interest and get my juices flowing and my creative pistons pumping. And then to create a world in that campaign frame, to paint in that frame, is very exciting to me. Like, this is motherboard, sorry. It's very post-apocalyptic technology. You're not casting magic, but you're using technology to create these different spells and things of that nature in a world where magic takes the form of technology left behind by a long-fallen civilization. A new threat rises as a malicious virus spreads through the machines that wander the wastes. You have a pitch that you give your players. Among the ancient ruins of the fallen world, the great walled cities of the Echo Vale sit as a bastion of hope in the otherwise hostile land. Utilizing technology powered by a mysterious language that runs through the metal threads tethered high above the valley. These citadels insulate their civilians from the wastes where autonomous machines roam the wild and massive wandering cities scour the land for scrap. But when a malicious virus infects the machines, it infects the machine beasts that work alongside the people of the valley, the once docile creatures turn violent. In a motherboard campaign, you'll use technology instead of magic to play extraordinary heroes, leaving the safety of the walled city to travel the wastes and bring priests to the Vale once more. You have tone and feel and touchstones like it's adventurous, epic, innovative, mysterious, post-apocalyptic, technological, themes, artificial intelligence, identity and personhood, innovation, technology versus humanity, and then touchstones of Horizon Zero Dawn, Mortal Engines, Mad Max Fury Road, the Final Fantasy series, Full Metal Alchemist, and Slug Blaster. Like, just this is cool. And then it kind of goes into it. It goes over like what the different areas are, what the wiring is that runs above the city, the different kind of communities and how they play into this world. So like if you're an Orderborn, it operates a little bit differently than the Orderborn in the core rulebooks, but nothing crazy. Like you still get the same abilities, but you might just be from a different part of this world. Same thing with ancestries and classes. Obviously clanks are going to work a little bit differently. They are going to be unavailable in a motherboard campaign. All autonomous robot beings are remnants, and though they have many unique forms, none have sapience. So no clanks. And then some ancestries in Daggerheart have inherent magical features like the Dracona's elemental breath. Consider how these would manifest in a world where magic comes from technology, then adapt the flavor to each feature accordingly. Very cool. And then all things with spellcasting, Beastbound Rangers, Seraph, so that goes through the different ways that these things will work. Player principles, GM principles, the distinctions. This is information to prepare for your campaign. You can also share this with your players as needed. The networking tethers, scrap operations, the fallen world, like this is all just like, hey, this is how these things operate in these towns. Wandering cities, it gives you some basic wandering cities. You can create your own walled cities. This is the prompt on how to start your campaign, or you can create your own. And then the mechanics of your campaign, including crafting, trading. This has scrap involved in it. And this one actually has a whole language in the book. Code. Anybody who has ever texted with a Nokia can probably read this language fairly simply. It is you trace the line, you start here, you trace the line, and the number of circles is the number of times you hit the button. So like Paul would be 1 circle, 1 circle, 3 circles, 3 circles. If you were going to spell magic missile, it would be 1 for 1 circle, 1 circle. But it goes through how to construct all of these different things. So it has your subnodes. So basically, so it's not circles, it's subnodes to kind of create that. But it goes through that whole process. And then you have and, or, true is, false not. Like in this, you can write cool messages for your players in it, and they have to decode them, they have to read them. Like giving that to me versus going, when you walk into the tavern, there's going to be these 15 individuals. This is who they are, what they do, their backstory, and all these things. Like, I'm not interested in that, but giving me the ability to write a language that my players will have to decipher at the table, and a loose set of guidelines on how this campaign should run. Yes, this is what I think. This, I think, is amazing. Campaign frames really excel at this. Colossus of the Drylands, another one, and these are 1, 2, 3, 7, 8. You get to build your own Colossuses with playing cards, which is cool. Less than 20 pages for everything, you know? 20 pages for a whole campaign frame versus something like, you know, Curse of Strahd, which is hundreds of pages. Hundreds of pages. You're just giving me enough to get my juices flowing and get my creative pistons firing. And for creators, it's so easy. Like, I want to write my own campaign frame, and it is going to be Christmas themed. I love Christmas, and I think writing a Christmas campaign frame is a fun and cool idea, because it's great for, like, if you're running a 4-shot in December. Message retracted. I wonder what that was. I love the idea of having a Christmas campaign frame, running a 4-shot or something around the holidays, bring people in to a different plane of existence. Yes, Christmas is the best. Yes, it is. But exploring the different types of Santa Clauses, or dealing with the different themes around Christmas. You know, you have Father Christmas, the druidic kind of version of Santa Claus. You have Saint Nicholas and their followers, who are, you know, seraphs in this world that worship what they believe is the original version of the holiday spirit. They all kind of protect different parts of the holiday spirit. The religious part of the holiday spirit, the druidic, the tree part of the holiday spirit, the joy, the Christmas, you know, toy village and the workers. And, you know, you can do a Land of Misfit Toys. I also thought it would be really cool if you took so I took the most popular Christmas items for multiple years. Is it here? Yeah, here it is. So these are the top toys for Christmas for any given year. So depending on the years that your players were born, though, that's the time period of which you'd pick games. So for like me, I was born in 85. The first real Christmases that I remember are like right in this Game Boy. I remember getting a Game Boy. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I remember begging people for Ninja Turtles. The Nintendo Super Nintendo Entertainment System, that coming out 1992, I remember that was Home Alone 2, and the Talk Boy. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the ones that had the flipping heads, that it didn't fully transform, it was just the normal head versus the Power Ranger head. And, you know, even into like Pogs, I was in 3rd and 4th grade, Beanie Babies, all of that stuff was like huge during that time period. And like, if I was running a game with other individuals that were my age, those were the kinds of things that I would integrate into it. And these would be kind of the magic items. These would be the things that would hold power in this magical Christmas land. You know, I thought it would be really cool, you know, having this be like the quest objects, like someone, you know, lost their Teddy Ruxpin, and you need to go find it, and it's a special, you know, Teddy Ruxpin. trying to find, you know, and then some of the magic items, like one of the ideas was a transformer that transforms into mundane items. So it is just a transformer that kind of transforms into all these different items. So you have access to all these mundane items with this little magic transformer toy. What I thought was pretty cool. Tamagotchis. That's a core memory. Murdering those little suckers. This is about where I stop. But there's a lot of really cool stuff here. There's a lot of really cool toys and a lot of things that can be added to a Christmas-based campaign frame that really strike out at those kind of core memories. And that's kind of why I wanted to write it. I just love the idea of Christmas. It's fun. All right. I think that is going to call it. I think I'm going to get off. I've been streaming for about 2 hours now. I just want to thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for following me, subscribing, watching my videos, commenting on my videos. I really enjoy making these things and connecting with you and sharing my love of TTRPGs. If you have anything that you would like to see, please, comment on one of my videos. I'd be more than happy to cover subjects. I am going to be doing more Daggerheart videos as we kind of travel through the book so that I can kind of commit all of these things to memory. It is helping with my retention if I make a video on it. I've made some mistakes in the videos that people have corrected me on, and it has helped me learn Daggerheart very successfully, which is absolutely fantastic. So, again, thank you all. I would not be here on YouTube without you all. And I look forward to what comes next. I might do another stream later this evening, but I'm going to try to do these a little bit more frequently because I do like interacting with everyone kind of in the moment and being able to have those conversations. It can sometimes be difficult through just YouTube comments, but so I want to thank you all. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. And I hope your tables are always full. Catch you later.